Welcome and hello. This is a video lesson in HEC RAS controller. In this lesson, we're going to be talking about updating input files. That is, creating input files and writing to them, or updating an existing file. And this is really just scratching the surface of all the different things we could do with regard to updating input files. When I'm referring to input files, I'm referring to the geometry file, the steady flow file, and the unsteady flow file. What we have on the screen here is my geometry. So I've got a single river, single reach, a number of cross sections, and let's go ahead and look at that file. It's called project.g01. So right here is the project directory. I'm going to open up this project.g01 file in a text editor. All right, so here is that geometry file, project.g01. This is the file that's used to define the geometry. Really, it's just a bunch of cross sections with the reach at the top. The very first line says the geometry title. After that, the program version, viewing rectangle, and then we have the river reach coordinates, as well as the individual cross sections. So here's a cross section, here's a cross section. For this lesson, I'm going to keep things fairly simple. This is more of an introduction, if anything else, to the topic. What we're going to do is pick one of these attributes at the top, such as the program version. Let's go ahead and update this to a different value. So this isn't a comma delimited update. We're not updating some parameter that is based on the number of characters. Updating the Manning's number or the station elevation values may be a little bit more complex, which we'll probably talk about in a different video, but this is really just scratching the surface of how to update a value. So let's go ahead and update this program version from 6.60 to how about 6.70. And I'm going to demonstrate how to do that in two different ways. So we're back in HEC RAS. I'm going to open up my controller.xlsm file. This is the Excel file. Click on Visual Basic. And then here in Module 1, I already have the two different subroutines that are going to be used to update that version. So we have update version 1 subroutine and then update version 2 subroutine. These are similar methods or procedures that I wrote, which are going to search for that program version 6.60 text and replace it with program version 6.70 text. And a similar deal going on down here. Program version 6.60 is replaced with 6.70. Okay. So let's talk about these two options. The first one, update version 1 is what I'm calling it, is first going to create a backup file. So the source file right here is project.g01, and then the backup file, first of all, we're just defining the file name right here. It's going to be called, instead of project.g01, it's going to be called project_backup.g01. And then this line here makes the copy. All right, after that, we're going to get the original file text. So all of the text in the source file is going to be copied to this string variable called file text original. And then what we're going to do here is update the text that is program version equals 6.60 with the text program version 6.70. That takes place on this line right here. So we did that using this replace function. And then file text updated, that's the text in with the updated version number 6.70. We're going to be opening the source file here for output. So when we opened it the first time right here, that was for reading. That was kind of a read-only status. And then over here, when we open it for output, it clears it. And basically what we're going to be doing is printing the entire variable string, the string variable file text updated into that file. We'll close that file. Then we're going to delete the backup. We can actually comment out this delete backup. Kill is the word for deleting a file. And let's go ahead and see if this runs. So I'm going to save it first. Then let's get the project directory up in view here. Okay. Let's pull this off to the side here. Cursor in update version 1 subroutine. Okay, so I click that. So let's see, this is the date time. This is the backup we created, which should still have version 6.60. This is project.g01 right here. This is our source file. This is what's actually going to be used. So let's go ahead and open that up in a text editor. 6.70 is the program version in our geometry file. Just for kicks, let's go ahead and check out the backup. So that on the screen still says 6.60. So right there is one method how to update a string of text in your file. I'm going to close the geometry file. Okay, I closed both geometry files. I'm going to delete the backup file just manually. Actually, what I want to do is change that back. Let's change this back to 6.60. I'm going to save it. Okay, so that's good to go. It's reset for the second option, the second subroutine, which is similar in nature. The first block of code is exactly the same. We're just creating a backup file called underscore backup.g01. As before, I'm at the very end of the subroutine, I'm deleting that backup file, but you can see that it's commented out just so I can double check that the copy was made. And then if I run it a second time, I can uncomment this out to confirm that the backup was deleted. I'm creating a copy of the backup that's there. And then what I'm doing is opening both files at the same time. So I've got file handler 1 and file handler 2. The backup file is what I'm using as my read-only, and then the source file is opened as output, and that is used for writing to that file. So what I'm doing in this block of code right here is populating that source file, which is file handler 1 associated with the source file. I'm defining a text line and then one line at a time until the end of the file. I'm writing the text from that line into this variable text line. And if that line of code is or includes program version equals 6.60, what I'm doing is writing the 6.70 line instead. And if there's no match, which is going to be the case all but one time, we're going to just print the line itself, which is making a copy. So that's how that works. I'm going to stop, save, and then let's pull this off to the side and then run our update version 2 subroutine now to, again, change the version from 6.6 to 6.7. So that ran. Let's go ahead and open this up and see what we have, 6.70. So that's it. That's how to update your data in your text file. This happens to be a geometry file, but it could also apply to your flow file, your unsteady flow file, your steady flow file, and not just a single value like we're seeing here, but it could be more complicated, such as the comma separated values, values that are separated by 8 characters or 16 characters, or any parameters that happen to have line breaks involved as well.